So it's what you preach. What are your standards? What's your fitness? It's the combination of Brendan Moore putting in the work. He's in there lifting with the guys. It's like the Dan Campbell lifting, doing the same workouts, doing the punishments with them. It's your suffering in the muck with them. And on top of that, you got these high standards, and it's what your expectations are in practice. And that's where the leader or the coach can step in and say, nope, we were here today. It needs to be up here. And we're not stopping practice until we get here. And even if we have to run it again, I don't care how long it takes. We're not stopping practice until we're here. And then once we're here, then we can cap it off. And that's a good day. Tomorrow's going to be the next day. And it's just getting that so that they're used to that. So when they come to the games, I mean, you're going to be dominant. And here's the best part about it. And one of the things I tell our football team all the time, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to have a full team of 5-star athletes. You don't need that. But are you going to be the team that's going to outwork and force the other team to submit? Like, are you going to be the last one to quit? Are you going to be the disciplined bunch that's not taking bad penalties? Are you also going to be the most aggressive, the most intense, bringing the most energy, the loudest, most rambunctious sideline? If you can do those things, you got a chance every single game, and I think that's something that I think a lot of teams fail to realize, because they just kind of see themselves, and all of a sudden victim mentality sinks in. Oh man, we're going to lose this one. They're a better team than we are. It's like that doesn't even come across your mind, because as long as we play our game, we're going to win. Welcome back to the Athlete Podcast. It's been a hot minute since we've recorded. We took a little bit of a break. Just life is just getting in the way. Things have been just extremely busy. And nonetheless, I know we got to get back to LeBron James and Jerry Rice, but since we last recorded, there's been a number of different things that have been occurring. There's Carolina Hurricanes, our Stanley Cup champions, which is really impressive, man. So if we could just start off with talking about that, and then there's a couple of other topics I want to hit. So for one thing, I mean, what an impressive run in the playoffs. They went the first 2 series undefeated, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, they swept Philly.
They swept Philly.
They swept, what was it? I forget who they played first round. I mean, they damn near swept. No, they didn't. I know, yeah, they had 2 back-to-back sweeps. And then they played, I'm pretty sure they didn't lose at all.
Okay, here we go. Yeah, they swept Philly, played the Senators, and they swept them.
Swept Ottawa, swept Philly, and then I'm pretty sure they swept the last round too.
And then they lost like the first game against the Canadians. Yeah.
Yeah, but then it was 4-1, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was yeah.
And man, it's so they go in to play Vegas, and and it's funny because each series they got a lot of rest, and I'm wondering if that was a big thing, because Vegas, if I'm not mistaken, went right into it, but just having a good little bit of rest. If not, like, I feel like they had like a whole week before the next series almost every single time. So being able to rest, recharge.
I think that can be scary and good,
Yeah.
Because
it's almost like you want to strike while the iron's hot. You don't want to kind of get cold and just,
Dude, they're so good. When you watch them play, like when they were like, I'm a Philly fan, right? But when you watch that series, you're looking at a team that's just flat out better than any, like every series I watched Carolina, they're just better. Like they're so fast and they don't get tired. Like that was the 2 noticeable things, like the effort that every single line is giving and how fast they're playing. I'm like, dude, I don't even know how, like it was so quick. But apparently I know nothing about hockey. Like I love watching it, but like, I don't know, like the ins and outs of the game. Apparently the offense they run is super complex. I did hear that.
Yeah. And I'm very much with you. Love hockey. I've always been a fan. Played had a cup of coffee and beer league hockey, which is the fun experience. But yeah, as far as I know, they had a great offense. Their defense was incredible. Their defense is a brick wall. Shout out to Jacob Slade, and I got a chance to meet him at one point. Very nice guy. but plays hella defense. Just is awesome on the penalty kill. They're extremely aggressive, man. That's one things I've noticed. They hit. I mean, they're standing them up. They play tight defense. And you know the thing about that team, man, is that it's not like they have big ringers. They don't have like the McDavid on their team. They don't have like you know, and they're not known for just having these a team of all stars. But what they do have are just a group of just humble, just hungry, and guys who just want to play some stick and just, take it to them every single time. And
Yeah.
I think it's really built around their leader. So Brendan Moore has been there for, I think, at this point, 8 years. Was a player back in for a good bit of time. I know they won the Stanley Cup in 2006 and but was always just a workhorse, and he himself wasn't always like the top scorer, but he was a grinder. He
Hmm.
played center, just an aggressive player, just very big on fitness, very big on conditioning. There's plenty of stories out there where players would talk about, okay, it's after the game, everybody's getting in the showers, getting ready to head home, and Rod's in there pumping iron. He's in there, just a workhorse, works out every single day back then and still does the same thing.
Yeah, I mean,
And
you can tell by his body composition at 50.
Rod the Bod.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude takes his shirt off, and I'm like, he looks better than majority of 20-year-olds. Unfortunately, I hate saying that, but
Yeah.
he's.
And
But
leading
you
by
know what though,
example.
and that goes into like, and I'm a believer in this. It just goes into like the saying where like shit falls downhill fast. It's a slippery slope. Like it does, man. Like, and you would see that all the time in the military. Like you see like the squad who has the squad leader that like doesn't prioritize fitness, doesn't prioritize like the right things. Like in my opinion, I'm one of some people may call me toxic. In my opinion, I think one of the most important things in the United States military is being physically fit. It is adjacent, they're equal. Being physically fit and intelligent are two of the most important things. And when you see a squad where the squad leader is not fit or doesn't prioritize fitness, 9 out of 10 times that squad is just screwed up. They're always the problem. They're always like something's always going on. Like, so I think even in like professional sports, I just think that it speaks volumes. And you can tell by the level of conditioning that they play at. Like we were talking about earlier, how fast they are. Like you can tell. It travels downhill. This is what he prioritizes.
Yeah, and it's just easy to influence. Like that's a great leadership by example. It's
Yeah.
just I'm not going to expect. And he's been quoted several times, and I heard several podcasts that he's been on. He's like, well, if I'm going to demand excellent fitness from these guys, I got to be equal, if not better shape. I want to. I'm not going to require them to do something that I'm not willing to do. And that speaks volumes, man. Like you would go to war with that kind of guy, and
For sure.
that's and certainly earning that respect. I think he and that's it for one of many reasons why I think this guy deserves a statue outside the stadium. It's a great mentality to have. And so he has so throughout the season, and I think ever since he first got there, he really preached and had the importance of having high level fitness standards. So they would have fitness tests, routinely, especially going into camp, making sure the guys were up to the level that he wanted them to be. And and I can't exactly remember the example, but he made several comparisons to other teams. He's like, I want to play at that level. Like he had expectations going into this season that he wanted to create a team that was just a workhorse. They wanted to be fast. They wanted to be strong. They wanted to be physical. And I don't think he went into this thinking we're going to be the highest scoring team, but we're going to wear teams down. So,
Yeah.
demanding high level fitness. And with that, and here's one thing I wanted to bring up with you especially is he had since day dawn had them lift this cinder block. Did you hear this story?
I saw it on Instagram,
Okay.
but I didn't. I didn't. I kind of had an idea. I read it and then I forgot. But if you can give me a refresher.
So his strength and conditioning coach, I don't know where they came across this cinder block, but the idea basically, I think he was like, hey, I want us to have a little thing that we do after every single game, after every single lifting session, whatever the case may be. They go into the weight room and everybody lifts this cinder block above their head. And it was just enforcing the blue collar attitude. You know, he wanted to create a blue collar culture. So all the players, as far as they knew, they're like, "Oh, this is just reinforcing that blue collar attitude. This is our
Wasn't it the
expectation."
same weight as the Stanley Cup?
Yes.
That's
So
so cool.
isn't that the neatest thing? Like, so his
That's
strength and
so
conditioning
cool.
coach was like, "Hey, you know, by the way, this is also 35 pounds, the same weight as the Stanley Cup." And he's like, "All right, we got to have this." And he was going to tell the guys at some point to say, "Hey, by the way, this is what we're fighting for." And this is why I'm having you lift that so that you're prepared. And then we're going to be prepared all season to lift that cup. And, but he never told him. And he's like, it didn't make sense to tell it until like we actually won it. And then he did. Can you imagine being in the locker room and hearing that after you've been lifting this damn thing for 6 years, 5 years? All of a
Yeah,
sudden he's like, it was the same way as the Stanley Cup. Like I got chills, man. Like that's
yeah, that's one of the coolest stories ever, dude.
and
Like,
and so the reason why I wanted to bring that up too is because, you know, when we were interviewing Cody Morris and he talked about the ore. And if I'm not mistaken, he even had the ore on the back wall. The military is very big on these like these symbols, like these little things. I remember when I went to a recruiting office one time, I saw like some guy had a hatchet on his wall, and I'm like, and I never asked him, but I'm like, what is that? Like, and that's
sometimes,
yeah,
sometimes with that stuff though, it's like hit or miss because like we'll get dudes knives, like a dagger when they leave, a hatchet with, and
okay,
it's like
yeah,
engraved. I got a plaque. I have to rearrange it. Like you'll see, I think there's like two over there for when I left. When you start to rank up, you get more of like my first duty station. I got a small little framed photo. My second brag shit. So like, but when you leave like strategic places, they give you like for when I had a first sergeant, he left one of the best first sergeants I had in the 82nd. He left and they got him this massive shield, like this like this like Spartan shield. It was
okay,
real.
yeah,
Like it was like heavy as
that's
shit.
badass, man.
Yeah, dude. Like, and it symbolized, he protected the company, man. He was in charge of the men, weapons, and equipment. He was the leader. He was the top NCO of that company, and and it symbolized his leadership 100% because that dude, he took more ass chewings than I've ever met to protect the company. And if we were out, and if we were out there doing something, he was out there sleeping in the rain with us.
That's exactly what you would want, man. That's
Like, yeah,
I would love for somebody to say that about me one day. Like that's but because that's like the ultimate, you know,
he's still, dude.
that's the ultimate compliment.
This is bad because I've just been so busy. He texted us, like all his squad leaders that have kids on Father's Day. I haven't served for him in 6 years. He's retired,
Yeah.
and he put all of us in a group chat, all of the squad leaders he deployed with to Iraq with, and he put us all in the group chat who have kids now, and like said, "I'm more proud of you than I've ever been for being. You guys are being good fathers, and I'm more proud of you for that than ever. Like you can whatever, like than being a soldier. Like I could have ever been proud of."
Yeah.
Like I'm like I can't talk right now because it's late, but like you get what I'm saying.
Sure. Sure.
Like you guys are, yeah. He's like, I was proud of you for being soldiers, but I'm more proud of you for being the best fathers you are.
Just taking time out of his day, out of his father's day, you know, just to give to pay homage. I mean, that shows how much he really cared about you guys. You
Yeah,
know,
dude.
and that's so back to the, you know, these symbols. Yeah, I guess that's the best way to put it. You know, it's just this extra little attention to detail, this extra little care about the job, care about the profession. And the reason I think why I was so drawn to that is, you know, I've worked with law firms, I worked in businesses, but all the same, it's like you don't have those things, man. Like that. So what is that? Why is it? But it's those things that help the
Dude,
culture.
you
It
you
helps
want you
build.
wanna know why, man? And
Yeah.
I could dissect this, like, because I have this thought all the time. This is what I'm seeing, right? And I've only been on the job for 2 months, this position. When I went into Army recruiting, one of the hardest things I've ever done in the military, the best advice I had was from my first station commander, and I worked for both men and women who were fantastic. He said, I and this is in sales, I don't care about the number of contracts. So you're graded on your contracts in Army recruiting, how many you put in at the end of the month, your quota. I don't care about the number of contracts right now. The only thing I care about on a day to day basis is the number of appointments you make. Here's the difference that I'm seeing. The military focuses on the 50-meter target, all the small things that are going to get you to succeed, the fundamentals, the basics. This is what you have to do to succeed. I have a really awesome boss in corporate America, and she's fantastic, and she is like that for sure.
Mhm.
She's very strategic, very fundamental oriented. But I think in a bigger picture, a lot of like director levels above, I've had limited to exposure to, they kind of are like, they're doing so much, so they skip it. They're like, well, where are we at? And why are we here? Why aren't we here? Well, it's like, you know, I think if instead of focusing on hitting the 500-meter target and you focus on just hitting multiple 50-meter targets and stacking up those wins, you're going to be successful at the end of the day. And I think that is like kind of different, but like, why don't we have that culture in corporate America compared to the military? When someone leaves, you get a shield or a plaque or this or that. I would love to foster that at the company I work for. I would like if a rep leaves and they were awesome and everyone loves them, even if everyone, there's some reps where everyone's like, that was iffy, whatever. I don't know. But like, I think that is something that everyone should go in on because people appreciate that shit. And sales is different. Sales is different because at the end of every year, you'll do like your yearly sales meeting and you'll get like your president's club. Like you'll see the winners get rewarded, right? But that's anticipated. Like they should. They're number one. They absolutely should be recognized for their success. But I think it's a different thing where it's like, hey, you gave your time and energy, and that's more than anything we could ever pay you. And we want to repay you with something that we bought out of our own pockets. And I think in the military, that's why they do it. Like I gave time, energy, and I lost friends, and a lot of people have. And I think
Mhm.
that's why they're very like, hey, man, thank you for your service. You get paid shit and you give everything and you lose friends in the meantime. But like, I want to give you this to remember in the midst of all the suck, there were still some smiles. And you can look at that and remember, like, yeah, I remember this story about that dude. And I think that's very important. And people love that. I've seen it. Like, I've never given a plaque. And I made it my personal goal when I was a squad leader. As many plaques as I could give away, I would, to the point where my platoon sergeant was like, dude, we're giving E4's plaque. I'm like, E4 is still, dude, I'll tell you what, man, E4's, they're putting in the same effort that I'm putting in. These guys are the oil that makes a machine go round, you know? Like,
It's just
so
what
I don't,
that's a part of the culture. That's what we do. And, it's it and I talk about this quite a bit. We talk about culture all the time. I talk
yeah,
with culture talk about culture to the football teams, and again, they're very young, they're still learning, but I describe some of these things, and I think this is the first time I've ever asked, trying to fumble my words now. I've ever actually asked somebody who's in the military, like, what is the deal with that? Because I think that is so cool that you just put that extra care into it. And it really is just about embracing and owning that culture, and like really creating this living, breathing thing that is governed by, high standards. And when you're welcome, you're part of this family. Now, very much as we say it's a family because we care about one another, it still is a team. And there's a big difference between family and team. Family, you can tolerate a lot. You can put up with a lot. But with a team, it's like you're not going to tolerate very much. You're going to do everything you possibly can to fix it. And some people aren't necessarily cut out for the job. That's just how it goes. That's how you get a winning culture at the end of the day. So I want to say family very lightly, but family in the sense that you truly just care about the individuals that are in there. And this, certainly the best leaders should be doing that, like rewarding people. And maybe, financial rewards are great, but sometimes it's just nice to be like, hey, man, I got you this. I thought it was really cool. And I'm trying to think of examples here. I know I've encountered examples before, but
Dude,
just
I
little
like
things here and
one
there, like
example.
even if it's like a coffee cup on a plaque, just something like, hey,
Yeah,
it's
man.
your favorite cup, man. I always saw you with this cup. It's something so simple and so easy.
One example, when I was in Army recruiting, I have two good examples. When I was in Army recruiting, my last month of my most successful year, I was on the CG's call out list, which is a big deal because there's like, I don't know, I think there's like 10,000 recruiters. Like, so the top 25 most productive recruiters in the nation are on the list. And I was in that, you're not ranked, but I was in that bracket. And like, I got like 7 text messages from my buddies who were like, dude, like I was in Southern California for a marketing event and they're like, dude, did you see the CG's email? And I was like, no. And I went and looked at it and it was like, it wasn't personalized to me, but I'm like, this dude, like, it's just the recognition. Like, I'm not getting a commission off of it. I'm not like getting a physical object, but like my work is being recognized. And maybe he probably had like 7 minions running around and sourcing the data, which is fair. Shit, man, he probably had someone write the email for him, but it was
Master
still,
delegator. Yeah.
yeah, but it was still like that little appreciation. And then when I was in the 82nd, when I left the 82nd, my battalion commander, I almost put his son in the army, and he like went out of his way to drive to me, and he told the battalion, he was just like, I want a guy that I would be comfortable leading my son to put him in the army. And he drove an hour and a half to me, and I sat with his son twice, and his son ended up going to picking another avenue, which was ended up being awesome. But even that, I'm like, man, I gave 3 years to the organization. I've never felt so appreciated because you're just doing shit every day. And you're like we were talking about before we were recording, I think, you're balancing 17 plates and your head's spinning. And a lot of people, like, I think the only people that can really relate to that are individuals who are practicing law, like yourself, or someone in healthcare, sales. Like there's this mindset, like, where it just craziness is always going on. And like sometimes people just want to be recognized for dealing with how crazy shit is.
It's a I love that you brought it to that because I can't tell you, I was an offensive lineman in high school and in college, right? And it's like I'm still an offensive lineman. And why I say that is because you're still trying to protect the quarterback. I'm still trying to protect the company, doing everything I possibly can. Offensive
100%.
linemen don't get in a whole lot of recognition for those
Nothing.
for those
Nothing.
wins.
Zero.
Now, if you know ball, you know where to give the credit. But I'll say it's like we're not making commission. We're making the same salary. So we're helping some of these teams make, $50 million deals. Do you think we see a lick of that? No.
Zero.
So, but one of the things that a company I worked for used to do was they would give out reward points. And I thought this at first I was like, okay, what's the big deal? But throughout the year, everybody's given like 250 reward points. Okay. And you can give them out to whoever you want. And it could just be, hey, thanks for helping me with that deal. And it'll be, 50, 100. Sometimes somebody will dump a whole 200 on you or something like that. Well, there's reward points. equate to money, and so you can go to the store, the company store, and you can get a credit, Visa gift card,
Dude, that's
something like
sick.
that. Isn't that cool? Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it's
it's
cool,
like there's your recognition. There's your, and it's something as simple as that. And you just, and if a company were to budget that out and just make sure, because those things mean a lot. And on top of that, you give out the reward points, and you hit like, and you select a category like, this is just recognition, just for hard work, and then you put a comment. The comment section is worth better. It's worth more than the actual points itself, because some of the things they'll say is just, it just makes your day, man. Like that's so all that to say, it's like, and to bring it back to the Hurricanes here for a second,
yeah,
but
circle.
but I love our deep dives, man. But because we're getting to the, you can see what's being built, and for anybody who wants to study a winning culture, take a look at the Carolina Hurricanes,
8 years.
because they're doing something, that is just one little thing, and we started a whole 20-minute conversation, because it's those little things that show how much you truly care about the organization, and that means a lot to the players. It means a lot to the people who are serving you. And if you can do little things like that, little fun things that just show that are creative and show that you're thinking about them, can go an extremely long way. So,
I totally agree with that, man. I wish more teams hired. I'm going to use this term. It's going to be broad. Some people be like, what? But like hiring within, like that doesn't work all the time. But I think bringing back a hometown hero isn't always a bad idea.
and if I'm not mistaken, it's happened only 4 times
Yeah,
where a player who played for that same organization came back to coach and has won a Stanley Cup. It's
but
only
like
four times.
I feel like that's a lot though.
Yeah,
On
I
the,
guess,
you know what I mean? Like I
and
feel
I
like
will say, and recently, because this hasn't happened in a long time, but what, the Stanley Cup's been around since 1908.
that's
So like,
so long.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and then the Canadians have like 57 Stanley Cup. I don't know.
right,
That
right.
that number is
It
not
had to be
accurate.
at least one of the Canadian team, one
Yeah.
of the Canadian teams
No,
has
like
done
if
that.
you look at the history, it's all of the Montreal.
Yeah, yeah, most
Like
of
it's
the time, yeah.
insane.
But and there's so many things that we're glossing over, but Bussy. Okay, here's a good another topic. So Anderson is the Hurricanes goalie to start off, to end the season, to start off the playoffs, and he was the goalie for the first 2 series where they never suffered a loss. Okay, the first loss came on the third round, the first game. Okay, fluke game. Okay, hey, no big deal, because guess what? We win the next 4 to close
Yeah,
out
right,
that series.
right.
And then they meet the Vegas Golden Knights in the Stanley Cup, and I think he was in for the first 3 games, and on the third game he gets pulled. Now,
That see, that is so interesting. That's where I just don't understand hockey because that's just, dude, it's so much more. Like these 7 game series, you have to be so strategic. Like between baseball, hockey, aligning your lines and like aligning your bullpen, like
right,
your lineup, who's back. Like it's so like, and football has its hurdles, right? Like there's a lot of shit that goes into a game day to prepare. Like, I mean, you see scenario sheets that are 5 pages, right? Like, but like that doesn't make any sense to me. I don't get that. Like,
well, this is this is okay. I'm going to come back to that, but I have an example of how
yeah, can you break this down for me? Yeah,
what this reminds me of in a way. So, okay, according to Rod Brindamore, he's like, okay, I think they're down 2-1 at this point. Okay, and now in the hockey world, it's almost like a hockey game where the other team scores 2 goals. Very hard to come back from that. It's not easy to score in an NHL game. And funny enough, and I guess ironically, this Stanley Cup was like one of the most highest scoring Stanley Cups. At
yeah,
least
it's
those
insane.
first 3 games, it was like, the Hurricanes were down 1 game by 4 goals. They came back, tied it up, then take it into overtime. And I think they eventually lost that one. But nonetheless, so Brendan Moore is faced with this situation. Now, coincidentally, Claude Lemieux passed away right around this time frame, right around Game 3, I want to say sometime now, if I'm not mistaken, he took his own life, and Anderson was very close with him and his family. That was a factor. So there was some psychological issue going on. On top of that, Brendan Moore has also said that he was pretty banged up. Now, if he's a good leader, that I think he is, he could have been physically fine, but maybe him just saying he was a little banged up is him saying I don't think he's mentally there where we expect him to be. He's just not on his game. So he makes this decision to put in Bussy, who was undrafted, who's kind of danced around a little bit. But honestly, if I'm not mistaken, don't quote me on this one, but I want to say he actually had much better numbers than Anderson all season, to the point where if you talk to a dedicated Hurricanes fan, I'm a Capitals fan,
Yeah.
so I haven't followed the team too closely, but I have some friends who are Hurricanes fans, and they're like, "Dude, Bussy's better than Anderson." I don't know why
A lot of
Bussy isn't
people
number
said that,
one.
yeah.
Yeah, you know what this reminds me of on this decision right here? It's almost like Tom Brady steps in for Drew Bledsoe. And that's kind of what they're like, this Bussy is incredible, like,
Well, it's
absolutely
also
incredible.
yeah, and you're also looking at a decision where if you lose the series, you're looking at like, it's
There's
not
a lot of
going
heat coming your way.
dude, like, a lot of heat.
So
I would say if you pull him and you lose the series, I would say that, like, your job's on the line.
that's a leadership decision. And so your option is keep Bussy in, knowing he's a little mentally rattled, or go with this young guy who's been sitting the
Yeah,
entire
oh, wow.
playoffs, coming in cold. But he's like, so it sounded like Brendan Moore went to his resources, went to goalie coach, was like, "Do you think he's ready to go?" And they went for a little walk, and then goalie coach was like, "Yeah, no, I think he's good." Because honestly, I mean, the guy's lights out, and it showed. In that last game, pitched a shutout, man. I mean, that's like, like
You can't it
against Vegas, who's a damn good team.
calls like that remind me, since we're ball guys, Clemson and Alabama,
Yeah,
that onside kick,
yeah, exactly.
like,
Just ballsy, man.
dude, like, when I see shit like that in the playoff, when it's like a lights out game and the defenses are playing good and the offenses are score like, and I see like a guy like Nick Saban. Now you're talking about a guy like Nick Saban doing that, right? But
Hmm.
like, still, he knows what's and he's like, if I
Yeah,
lose, what are they gonna say? I'm a bad guy. Yeah, all right, dude, whatever. But like, that's a gutsy call, dude.
and I guess now I can't relate to this. Maybe you have some color on this too, but it's almost kind of like if you're the platoon sergeant or whatever, and all of a sudden, hey, one guy's been rocked. You got to send him back out, or you want to send in a guy who's fresh off. He's clear minded, ready to roll. I mean, it's a liability to put the guy in that's been rocked. And that's. But
Yeah,
again, it's a leadership call because it's like Anderson's been your guy. And
I
so
think I think in scenarios like that in the military, and we've hit on sink or swim. And this is what makes the military very, very, very effective. And the army and the military branches do this particularly well. You don't have a choice a lot of times, right? Like, this is you're being voluntold. So a mentor of mine and a friend of mine told me when we were in Iraq, I was a team leader, he was a squad leader. He said, you shouldn't be a squad leader unless you've been a squad leader as the lower rank, like as an E5, because squad leaders are E6s, right? So until you've been appointed a squad as an E5, you shouldn't even be considered for a squad leader position. And because it's that goes into more of like the promotion stuff and why you deserve it. But like, I think it's sink or swim. Like, you're going to be voluntold, you're going to do it because there is no one else. And I guess in a scenario like that, you know, he was ready, and that's a gutsy call on the coach. But it is very similar. Like, sit and you look at that and you see that in sports all the time. Like, what if Anderson goes out and like, or he breaks his ankle, and then there is no option, right?
Right. And I bet sometimes I wonder if a coach thinks that way sometimes. It's kind of like, gosh, it would just be easier if this guy just got hurt and then I get, I don't have a choice because I clearly know this is our better guy. Whereas, any good leader is like, hey, like, it's nothing personal, man, but I'm going to put the best guy out there.
I think so, man. I think you see that more. I think coaches probably think that way more in football.
Yeah.
And maybe that's because I'm talking about it from a biased perspective because I watch more of it, but you see that.
Yeah.
You don't see God, especially in the NFL. And now that the NIL has monetized college football, but you see you're not going to see Tom Brady get benched.
Right.
Not that he should, but
Right.
like
Right.
you're not going to see the big guy that's getting paid the big money get benched because that owner's sitting up in a cold box saying like, I'm paying this dude all this money. Who do
Yeah.
you think you are to bench him? Now that's bringing in politics in it. But like, I wish that I wish you'd see more of that.
A lot of politics, a lot of money in hands.
But
I so
that is an unbelievable call by the Canes head coach. And I think I love seeing shit like that in sports because it brings the passion back into it. Brings passion, it brings belief, you
exciting,
know.
man, and it's yeah, again, it could have been completely worse. It could have gone south, right? Because Bussy could have just completely laid an egg, and all of a sudden he's got to put Anderson in there, and he's going to get all these questions. But now he looks like a god, because,
Yeah, dude.
but you don't know. You don't have the foresight of what he's going to do. You just got. But here's the thing: you got to trust your players. You got to trust they're going to. Hey, listen, you're in the NHL now, brother. Like, you wouldn't be on this team if I didn't believe in you. So calling on you right now. Here's your chance.
Yeah, and I think too, like you got to look at the player lineup, right? Like how much like as a head coach in that position, I imagine like you got to trust every single line, every single player. Like, hey man, I'm putting
Yep.
in a guy he hasn't sat in front of the net the entire playoff. Now we've essentially pitched a shutout. We have lost one game before the Stanley Cup final. So when you tell the players that, it's like, does that almost psychologically up their effort on defense? Like, does it change? Like, all right, we got to put in more effort, I'd
That's a
imagine.
great point because it's like I would imagine. I don't think we saw any of this. Maybe we saw in that first loss, but complacency. I don't think we saw complacency sink in with them. I
I
would argue that
think,
first game of the Montreal game when they lost, maybe we saw it rear its ugly
I
head a
think
little bit
that
there.
loss was the best thing that happened.
Couldn't have come at a better time.
It couldn't have come at a better
To
time.
lose just the first game, so it's only you're down 1-0. Better than 2-0, 3-0.
Yeah, like you come out, you get your shit rocked, and then you're
Right.
like, oh, okay, we're playing NHL hockey. Never mind.
A little bit of humbling. Yep. It goes a long
Like
way.
you see it,
Yeah.
like I was watching. I don't know if you watched the UFC, but um, Justin Gaethje was just on. He just won the belt. He beat a guy who is undefeated.
This is on the White House lawn.
The White House lawn fight, yeah. Which, yeah, yeah, dude, that one. No, I didn't protest it.
It's like I I certainly don't want to discount it because honestly, I think that may be one of the most historically impressive things in our history. like that was
There's
incredible.
a lot that I can talk about with this, right? Like there's a
Yeah,
lot of the event, the marketing
right.
behind it, like the event production, like these productions teams and like the marketing activations they had and like people don't realize how hard it is to get a flyover like that. Like you're talking about they had the Air Force, they had the Navy, and they're cross communicating corporate, synchronizing this like flyover that has to be timed perfectly. This like, dude, live entertainment logistically is an absolute nightmare. You have one chance. Like,
Not only
but aside from that, um, you it was crazy, dude. The whole fight.
well, not only that, I was just going to add to that. I used to work for the Secret Service, and so
Oh yeah,
the
dude, I
the
don't. Yeah,
logistics. Talk about logistics, okay?
dude. Because now
And
you're bringing in red tape because you're
I
at the
mean,
White House.
just yeah, and I want to obviously there's some things that have to remain confidential, but for them, I'll just say this: there's for any visit, there are weeks of planning. for a simple visit of the president or the vice president.
Isn't the
Um,
White House on like a when I went when I was in the 4th grade, it was like a 9-month wait list to visit the White House.
that I don't know. I would
Okay.
imagine. I would
Yeah.
imagine. And yeah, so and then on top of that, it's just coordinations. Where's president going to be? Where are the sniper locations? And it's funny hearing some of these influencers talk about their trip to this event because they're like, yeah, it's just so surreal, man. Sometimes you forget that you're at this fight because they're like, oh, it's the freaking White House.
Yeah,
There's
dude.
like
Yeah.
snipers on the roof and all this. And anyway, there's just I mean, just absolutely incredible. Fortunate that there's nothing happened. Everything went off without a hitch. A hell of a sporting. I didn't really see anything of it. And here's the thing, I love I really do like the UFC, but for some reason I just can never get around to watching it. And it's not like I don't want to watch it. I just
Well,
there's just so
now
much going on, you know.
this is some free advertisement, not that they need it. Now, if you prescribe to Paramount Plus, you can watch UFC for free, every card, paying, I
Oh
think it's
shoot, man, I might have to look
$20 a
into
month.
that.
So write that down.
I'm writing that one down because
Oh, dude,
Paramount's got all kinds of good stuff on there. So,
dude, they have Landman too. Not to
oh
go off.
yeah,
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 Landman's a
yeah.
great series. Yeah. But okay, so Gaethje wins in an absolute just dominant. I mean, it was a good fight the first 1 or 2 rounds, but then it just became like, it was pretty gnarly. Like he busted, and like I would obviously go in there and get destroyed, right? Anyone that these are guys are professional fighters, but from a consumer standpoint, like it was like, oh, dude, this guy's getting after it, right? And wins, and he was like a underdog, like on every betting line, like severe underdog. And he went on Rogan this week, and he with his coach, which I was like, all right, this is going to be an awesome episode because his coach like
Oh,
breaks.
and you know Rogan's just spoon feeding.
Oh, dude,
He's
he's just
all
like
jacked
sitting
up
there
for that
eating it up,
interview.
dude. Yeah.
Yeah.
And his coach was like, I think something happened, and I'm paraphrasing. Something happened when he trained a fighter before, where he had, and this goes into like the Canes in that first loss, where he had a fighter almost underestimate and the guy he was fighting. And he was like, with Justin Gaethje, with Justin, he's like, I am sure that when he goes into this, like there are no underestimating the fights. There are no, you can get him to stop in the second round. Like you're fully prepared for this to be a dogfight for 5 rounds. And that's how we're preparing for it for every single person we fight. And when he talks about that, he talks about like how the guy he fought was, anticipating a second round knockout and he didn't get it. And all of a sudden, like he was talking about how like the momentum shifted and because he didn't get that second round knockout and he was like just dumped like like holy shit, like I have to go into the third round, then all of a sudden you're going into the fourth round, and then all of a sudden it's like I'm going into the fifth round with this dude. And at that point the guy he fought had, I think he broke both of his eye bones, or I forgot what they're called, like orbital, and like bad. Like he couldn't see. They had to end the fight because he couldn't see out of his left and right eye. This dude fought blind for after the second round. Yeah, dude, like, yeah, and like, but I thought his coach saying that, I'm like, dude, that is like some of the best shit I've ever heard.
Okay. So, and I don't want to jump off this train because there's more on that, but I want to tie this back into the Hurricanes just here for a second because I feel
Yeah,
like that's exactly the same level of energy and intensity you saw with the Canes. Like and it seemed like every single game that I've seen them play, they approached it that way. It
yeah,
was evident in that last Stanley Cup game. They took Vegas's soul, like to put it in David Goggins speak, right? They took their soul away. Like they had nothing. And they could barely get it into the offensive zone. Like it was just a suffocation and an unrelenting dogfighting mentality that the Hurricanes created. So my question for you is what creates that? Is it the coach?
I,
What
I,
creates the buy-in? You know what I
yeah,
mean?
dude,
That's the $1,000,000 question.
I think it's just, it starts at how you're coached. it all starts at how you're coached, man. Like you can, I always like, it's almost like you can watch some of the opening of like the opening drive or like the opening swings at the bat, swings at the mount or swings at the plate, right? Um, the opening period in hockey. And like as a Flyers fan, I'm like, oh, dude, we're just, when we beat the Penguins, I'm like, we're playing good. And you can tell, you can see it how they're moving. Like the guys, like they're hitting, they're fast, they're like moving the puck, right? And then you see the games you lose, and you're like, well, they just are almost like, it's like you get
Yeah.
complacent.
Yeah.
Like, oh, we're up, we could take a
Yeah.
loss. We're up 2-0 the series. We could take a
Right.
loss. And I think with the Canes, like it started with the coaching because they're up in the series and they're about to be Stanley Cup champions. And it's either I would imagine the conversation was something along the lines of you either get complacent and we go into a game 7, because I think they won in 6,
Mhm.
or you go out here and it's lights out, physical, dominant, violent, and you snatch their soul. And you just apply pressure until they can't breathe and you win the game. And I had a platoon sergeant one time. He was insane. It was my first day at the 82nd, and he was talking about a raid that everyone knows about. It happened, and he was saying, "Do you guys understand what we just did?" And we were all like really young. Like I was the PCS cycle, so we were all coming in, and he was like, "These guys just raided this compound, and like it was all over the news, so it's not confidential. And they sent in the dogs, and they were like, I want you to think about it from their perspective, right? This guy hears dogs coming. He has overwhelming amounts of gunfire coming, and it's getting louder and louder and louder. What that is doing is just pressure and pressure and pressure and pressure and pressure until this dude has no choice but he can't do anything. He's dead." And he was like, that's why overwhelming, and this is going to the military, but like, that's why overwhelming suppressive fire and being able to maneuver is so important.
Call
You,
sign chaos.
yeah,
Mattis. That's what he talked about all the time. Is I want to create chaos.
you
Like
don't
that's
want, you don't want your opponent to ever have an opportunity to breathe.
that's right.
That's it. And
That's
I
right.
think when you go into a game that they went into where the Stanley Cup's on the line, it's like, no, dude, like your foot's on their throat and keep it there. End it tonight. Like essentially, that's a really violent analogy, but I just think you see it, dude. Stuff like that gets me fired up too.
So this concept, I don't know if I brought it up on here, but it's a concept that I talk about. And I think I was just talking with our football team about this, is because it's kind of like the midway point in the preparation to kind of get ready for the season, and for most teams. And one of the things I wanted to say is like, okay, what are some of the things that we need to work on? And coach and the players all kind of collectively agreed, it's, hey, this is, we lack intensity, we lack energy, we lack, these are some of the things that I'm like, well, this is the same story I heard last year, guys. And it's funny because I saw that in the games. So what do we need to do to change this? And I brought up the concept: swing the heavy bat, swing the heavy bat all week. So if you're a baseball guy, you're in the on deck circle getting ready. You're facing 90 miles an hour pit, fastballs coming your way. It's like, so you'll see these guys, they'll swing a heavy bat in the on deck circle. And why is that? Because when they get up to the plate, now they got a lighter bat. Now it feels lighter. And all of a sudden, you got more maneuverability. You can swing faster. But the concept, and what I'm talking about here is as the metaphor is, you just practice with an enormous amount of intensity, enormous amount of aggressiveness and energy all week, so that by the time the game rolls around, you only know one speed, and it's full
dude,
smoke. It's full smoke.
dude, look up what Dawn Staley did at the University of South Carolina women's basketball.
Okay.
She's one of the best coaches of all time, and I don't know why she's not talked about as much as she should be. She hosts tryouts for the practice squad, and she only wants men, college boys
I've heard about this.
that have
Okay.
played basketball in high school and know the game. Like, they come and they try out, and they're like she's like as intense as possible in
Yeah.
practices. So she's like, and they all got a ring when they won the national championship too. She got them all
Right.
a ring, and
Right.
and I'm like, and not that, and that's not bringing in like, hopefully that doesn't, that's not to offend anyone. Like, you can still get the same result, but I think she did that. I would assume for like maybe just different level of like strength involved, or like, it's not interesting when I heard that, but I'm like, that's awesome, and it
Yeah, it's almost like
panned
when
out.
if you've ever played up a league, I know when I played some competitive basketball when I was growing up, and at one point I think we were all in seventh grade, but our coach put us all in eighth grade tournaments because he's like, listen, it's gonna be a hard year, but I'm setting you guys up for a hell of a eighth grade year. It's because like
Yeah.
every tournament we played, all eighth graders. And even some like high school players. I don't even know how they got in here. Like they're dunking on us. We were getting humbled every single game. Then it came to eighth grade. We swung in the heavy bat all seventh grade year. And then we were just dominant in eighth grade. So it's that same mentality. It's like you just become so used to it that you don't know any different. And you just
Yeah.
become, and you figure out your speed. Like you collectively figure out your speed. So that,
Well, yeah, and it goes back to like the bat, like the Dawn Staley and what she did. It's just like you become so used to playing with. I think you are who you practice with, and it's like, are you like? And men are different than women, right? And like, it's going to either benefit you or it's not. But I think that was a very unorthodox method, and I think it paid out dividends. Like, it was very awesome to see when they won it. And she's doing great things.
to bring it back to the Hurricanes and just kind of put a button on it, it's I don't know exactly what inspired them to have that drive. I think you could say securing the right talent, recruiting, not recruiting, not so much recruiting, but drafting well, and also it's what you preach. What are your standards? What's your fitness? It's the combination of Brendan Moore putting in the work. He's in there lifting with the guys. It's like the Dan Campbell lifting, doing the same workouts, doing the punishments with them. It's you're suffering in the muck with them. And on top of that, you got these high standards, and it's what your expectations are in practice. And that's where the leader or the coach can step in and say, "Nope, we were here today. It needs to be up here." And I'm not. We're not stopping practice until we get here. And even if we have to run it again, I don't care how long it takes. We're not stopping practice until we're here. And then once we're here, then we can cap it off. And that's a good day. Tomorrow's going to be the next day. And it's just getting that so that they're used to that. So when they come to the games, I mean, you're going to be dominant. And here's the best part about it. And one of the things I tell our football team all the time, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to have a full team of 5-star athletes. You don't need that. But are you going to be the team that's going to outwork and force the other team to submit? Like, are you going to be the last one to quit? Are you going to be the disciplined bunch that's not taking bad penalties? Are you also going to be the most aggressive, the most intense, bringing the most energy, the loudest, most rambunctious sideline? If you can do those things, you got a chance every single game, and I think that's something that I think a lot of teams fail to realize because they just kind of see themselves and all of a sudden victim mentality sinks in. Oh man, we're going to lose this one. They're a better team than we are. It's like that doesn't even come across your mind because as long as we play our game, we're going to win. And we have the confidence we're going to win because we've been working our tails off since we started. And we only know that one speed. So anyway, just a number of different things, but there's a lot to go to school off of Carolina Hurricanes and
Yeah.
an incredible season. And you know what? They're just getting started, man. Like they are just getting started. They've got almost everybody locked in for a couple years, and they may dump a few
Scary.
guys here and there.
It's a
They got a
scary thought
great
process.
goaltender. They got great defense. They got a great captain. And I didn't even touch on the fact that Bussy, by the way, is like one of the most undervalued goalies in the entire league, underpaid. And a
Now it's
portion
gonna be interesting to see if their teams are gonna come
well, that's
after.
what they're talking. Yeah, and if yeah, I think Carolina would be foolish to lose him. I think we'll see what happens with Anderson. I don't know if he's got a couple years left, but all the same, I mean, yeah, he's a household name. Probably shouldn't be paying for a beer in Raleigh, North Carolina, anytime soon. So,
Great.
yeah. Well, I think that should do it for tonight. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm good with that.
All right. Till next time. We'll see you soon.